We appreciate you making us a part of your day here on the Sports Cubicle and Sports from the Couch here on WCPT 820 AM, Heartland Signal, WSBC 1240 AM, Chicago, and on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. Please subscribe to us over there if you would like to see the video version of the show. And this next story actually came to my radar as I was just scrolling through social media, kind of looking for the news stories, the big trades during the trade deadline. So much that was going on in the sports world, from gambling scandals to tragic deaths, right? Like, we've seen it all this week, and it has been a whirlwind. But this just kept creeping up, and I kept seeing the name Odunze on my timeline, except it wasn't Rome. It was his father talking about the organization, and more specifically, his gripes with the Chicago Bears. This comes to us from ESPN's Courtney Cronin. Rome Odunze says dad's shots at Bears don't speak for me. Chicago Bears wide receiver Rome Odunze says his father's social media posts are his prerogative, but they don't speak for the former first-round pick. Odunze, who's coming off his first NFL game without a catch, despite the Bears scoring 47 points in a last-second win over the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. He was targeted 3 times in the game. Though the 9th pick in the 2024 draft offered an honest assessment of his play against the Bengals, noting a pass in the end zone that hit his hands was one he, quote, could definitely make, but struggled to haul in once the ball was tipped. His father took to social media this week to express criticism of the Bears' offense. After the win, James Odunze reposted a message on social media that asked whether the Bears would, quote, trade Rome Odunze to a team that will actually throw to him, and another post that declared the receiver, quote, should be seeing at least 10 targets per game. Quote, I don't make a big deal out of it, Rome Odunze said Thursday. Quote, obviously, he has his opinions and I have mine, and he feels like he needs to voice those things on social media. That's his prerogative, but he speaks for himself. I speak for myself. Odunze leads the Bears in targets, 59 receiving yards at 473, and receiving touchdowns with 5. He's also tied with 31 receptions. He is averaging over 7 targets per game and dispelled any notion that he is frustrated with his role. Quote, oh man, I'm happy, Odunze said. Quote, I'm just trying to do my job within this organization as a leader, as a person, as an individual, and then as a football player. So trying to excel at a Hall of Fame level in those aspects, that's all I'm focusing on. And you can check out the entire article, the rest of the quotes, and the amazing story, obviously, by Courtney Cronin over at ESPN. Rome Odunze says dad's shots at Bears don't speak for me. And this is a lot of nothing. It's a dad who feels all types of ways because it's his son. It's a player who is frustrated after a bad performance. It's a lot of fans that have betting odds or betting props or fantasy football that are upset with how Rome Odunze has played over the last few weeks, even though just last week, the game before this one, he had like 10 targets, right? Like, we see him go off. So if you had the over, if you had the yards, if you had on fantasy football, he performed for you. He hasn't scored touchdowns at the same rate that he had to start the season. And, you know, a lot of people thought that there was going to be an escalation of his play and what we were going to see him as a maturing wide receiver one in this league after the bye. That hasn't necessarily been the case, but he has been a great receiver, a top 40 receiver. He is somebody that has helped with Caleb Williams' development, with this transition to this new Ben Johnson offense. And more than anything, look at the way these wide receivers block for each other and their running backs. And Monangai or DeAndre Swift aren't having those games unless the offensive line, the tight ends, and the receivers are buying in to the blocking scheme. That is a lot to ask for a young receiver, for any receiver, to be all in, to put up their body for another teammate without getting any glory at this and at that game against Cincinnati, no catches, and still perform, still be a professional. He's had a foot injury, a heel injury. This is nothing. This is, again, a parent who is very invested in their son, wants the best for their son, and just like all of us, overreacts every Sunday because the NFL is the one sport where you can overreact every single week. But without a shadow of a doubt, if you're here in Chicago, if you cover the Bears, if you watch the Bears, you know Rome Odunze is not only one of the key players for this team, he's one of the leaders of this team. He's one of the players that you keep your eye on and say he's not just going to be a really good Chicago Bear. He has a chance to be a really good NFL wide receiver, a top-tier wide receiver, somebody that's feared amongst defensive secondaries around the NFL. That is the expectations. That is the possibility for Rome Odunze. That still falls on how Caleb Williams develops, how Ben Johnson's offense utilizes him, how it all melds and blends in together. There are going to be great days, there are going to be bad days. I think he's going to have a great performance against the Giants. I've been asking for great performances over the last few weeks. We've gotten some. We got that one rare Cincinnati game, but I think he's going to have a big game. I think you're going to see them target him, but there's also a lot to go around in this offense. And that's a good thing, that they don't just have to force feed Rome Odunze, that he's not just asking to be fed. There is Zacchaeus, there is DJ Moore, there is a Burden, there is Loveland who had that big game, there is Komet. You do have two running backs in DeAndre Swift and Monangai. The ball is going to get spread around and people are going to eat. And sometimes he's going to have the best of games, the wide receiver of the week. There are going to be other times where he's just good. And the most important thing is that you're winning. Because at the end of it, if you're winning games, practice, film study, and development is a whole lot easier. And we're seeing that with this team. So I don't think James Odunze, the father of Rome, should be getting crucified. I'm glad Rome stuck up for his dad in one way and also stuck up for himself. I'm glad the question was asked, and I'm more glad than anything that the Chicago Bears have a star wide receiver. It's just going to take some time where it's undeniable and it's always right in front of us, but it's all there. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would be just more worried that your defensive line are able to control Jackson Dart, Tracy, and able to hold the Giants, a team that's been decimated on injuries with their offensive players with Scadaboo and with Malik Neighbors, that they handle their business, because then the Bears should be able to handle theirs and win a game against the Giants. We got more coming up next on this edition of the Sports Cubicle and Sports from the Couch on WCPT 820 AM, HeartlandSignal.com, on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. Make sure you guys subscribe to us there as well. I'm your host, Mike Mercado.